I want to drink your blood. Hello everybody and welcome to the Lagoon and welcome to my Strain episode review video. 1 second though. There we go. I can breathe a lot better with these chompers out of my mouth now. So, a lot of you wanted me to make a video giving my thoughts and ideas on the episodes of the strains that I missed. And that would be episode, I think, 7, 8, and 9. Well, I have to say that I absolutely loved all 3 of these episodes. I really liked the kind of imagery that was found within the episodes. No, this is not the hand of Masa, or the hand of Miriam, or the hand of Fatima. That is in the episode 7, that Abraham, who is the symbolic craftsman, crafted to protect him from the evil eye and the evil Strigoi, or Nosferatu. So one thing I just wanted to talk about is Abraham is obviously adherent of Judaism, and so this symbol that he carved in it I thought was such a cool little nod to Judaism and his religious disposition. I know it has. I know that the hand of Hamsa is a very ancient symbol that has its roots in Mesopotamia and Carthage and stuff like that, and it's primarily known for its protective qualities and warding off negative energies and misfortune and stuff like that. And in all the Abrahamic faiths, in Judaism it represents the hand of Miriam, named after Moses' sister, and in Islam it's known as the hand of Fatima, after the Prophet Muhammad's daughter, and in Christianity it is also associated with the hand of Mary, Jesus' mother. And but seeing as how we're dealing more with a Jewish character, Strikian is obviously in a concentration camp during this time period for being a Jew, and so I would definitely say that we're going more for the Jewish symbolism of this, and the 5 fingers on the hand can represent the 5 books of the Torah, but in Islam it also represents the 5 pillars of Islam, or the 5 senses and elements, and the eye in the palm is the powerful talisman against the evil eye. So I just thought that was like kind of a little cool, kind of like occultic lore, kind of showing that Abraham kind of already has some kind of knowledge on at least how to protect himself from evil spirits and stuff like that. And already in like the kind of more previous episodes, we've seen him see the master come and like eat people, and those scenes are just so creepy, man. I can't begin to tell you how creeped out I was as the tension builds on all those scenes. Now, one of the thing that I really liked about this episode is the relationship with Thomas, was it Eichhardt or whatever, and Abraham. I just feel like that performance was so raw. Like you could see how he thinks he's better than Abraham, but yet he respects him for the craftsmanship that he has, and you can tell that Abraham really likes to build for kind of like more so the glory of God rather than for man, and he's really particular with his craft, and he's really good. And I just like how the episode as progresses. Abraham really has a chance to kill Thomas, but he ultimately chooses not to. And I love the line where he says, where Thomas says to Abraham, it's easier to do nothing than to take an action, which is true in a weird way. And I just loved how he asked him, what do you think your God thinks of you? And it's just so like creepy and just disturbing, but I still feel like in a weird twisted way, it's like Thomas likes Abraham. Like he doesn't want to like him, but he does, and the whole like kind of reveal that he's building the coffin of the master, that is just so cool. Like I really geeked out on all of that, and I love the scene where Thomas comes in and he's totally wasted off of whiskey or brandy or whatever, and he gives him a swig of his drink there. And then, you know, we kind of cut back to the city with that one family, and I apologize, I don't necessarily know all the characters' names because I'm really new to the show and it's a lot to take in when you first watch. But when they had those kind of like vampire, like Nosferatu military guys, and they just like straight up shoot that girl, that totally like blew my mind. I did not see that coming. In fact, I was like, oh damn, like really loud when I saw that. I was totally shocked on that. And now, of course, you know, we kind of go into like episode 8 or whatever, and it's, you know, primarily the gas station episode. And man, I really, that episode was so action packed. I liked how we're finally seeing the show kind of progress, you know, and all these different characters that we've been introduced to are kind of coming together and you know, meeting for a chance. And one thing that I really liked was all the creepy green light. All of you who've been hanging out with us on our Hammer Horror streams, you know, that green lighting reminded me of the Curse of Frankenstein and the Mummy when they went into those rooms. I wouldn't be too surprised if that was done on purpose, but I just really liked that. It felt like an old school kind of, you know, 60s 70s horror film, and I just thought it was really well done. You know, Del Toro has done a great job with this, and you know, it's really cool. And I love our little rat catcher guy. I can't wait to see him be the main character in the new Hammer horror film that's going to come out, the Ithqua or whatever, the Cthulhu Mythos movie. So that could be why I associate it with that green light with Hammer. But I think that there's something there. And I also like how Dracula was finally name dropped in this episode, between Abraham and the exterminator guy. I thought that was really cool, how they're kind of talking about vampires, and all of a sudden this, you know, creepy Strigoi starts waddling into frame, and then all hell breaks loose, and they all have to go and fight. And, you know, we see Abraham cut off the heads of the vampire. It's just so action-packed, so cool. And I love how our rat exterminator guy gets the steel pipe and just starts beating the crap out of all of them. It reminded me of like Silent Hill 2 or whatever, when you get the steel pipe, and it was just really cool. It felt very Resident Evil to me, being stuck in the gas station and all this stuff, and it was just really cool. And this episode, I think, is one of my favorite episodes so far of season 1. I believe we have a few more episodes to go, but so far this one is going to be hard to beat for me, just because I just really thought it was good. And I liked that scene. One thing that, you know, is kind of stereotypical in horror films is when shit starts hitting the fan, everybody wants to split up. And, you know, as a writer, sometimes you want to isolate your characters so that way you can pick them off and stuff. But I really like how Strachan was like, you know, Abraham was like, no, like, don't split up. That's the vampires strive on us being divisive and fighting one another and splitting up. He's like, it's only by staying together that we can overcome their evil. And I just really like that. Like, I like how Abraham represents like the goodness. You know, he's the carpenter, and the one that is trying to clearly build a better future and stop this evil plague. You know, this evil demonic virus that's clearly looking like it's going to take over the world, which is really cool and exciting. But I have to just say that the acting in this episode is really next level. I was really surprised by everybody's performance, And I like how the more science-based characters, even though they're kind of confronted with this reality of vampires, they're still like, well, that's not impossible. There has to be, you know, an explanation. And I really, one thing, I can't really recall the character's name, but she kind of looks like, what's her name from, I think it's, oh God, Sex and the City or whatever, Sarah Jessica Parker. She kind of reminded me of her, the one that's clearly on drugs and stuff. I really thought that she did a really good portrayal of being vulnerable but also strong, but you could see that she clearly has like addiction issues. I really am excited to see how her character develops and all of that. And now it gets kind of a part that I really liked, because I'm a big fan of body horror, and that's with you know, the guy who plays Sam in Lord of the Rings, his little CDC kind of working with Thomas, the little evil Nazi vampire guy on the side here. He gets like a little microscopic scratch on his cheek there, and they get the UV lights, and you see the worm go on his face, and they're like, well, we can get it out of him, and I'm like, oh no, please don't kill off his character. I really liked him. And I'm like, well, they gotta save him or whatever. And they get the worm out, and it's so gross, and it like melts in the light. And you can tell the more science-based people are like, okay, this is something definitely kind of like supernatural and stuff like that. And but I really liked it because, you know, I just feel like these vampires feel just kind of truly like evil and almost like Lovecraftian in a way, to where it just makes you as a human feel fragile, and like this, whatever this dark cosmic force is, like if it even touches you or you encounter it, it's going to change you and assimilate it into its self kind of thing. And man, it's just the level of body horror in that surgery scene with those characters was really awesome. And, you know, I have to say, as, you know, the episode continues and we're still in this gas station and they're fighting and all this really cool stuff, you know, it just, like I said, it kind of reminded me of, like, you know, Resident Evil, like a video game, but that's not a bad thing, though. You know, that's really cool. I liked how the vampires were kind of like zombie-like, started using tools and crawling out of spaces and shimmying about and just seeing who they can like destroy and eat and all this stuff, and you just see them kind of desperately trying to you know, survive. And you have the cashier guy like, well, who's gonna pay for all this stuff, and all that great stuff. I just felt like it captured the human condition, and how our little rat catcher dude you know, pays him with a lottery ticket. I thought that was a really fun part. But I have to say, man, my soul was totally crushed whenever Samwise was still infected, man. They had that scene, and you see all those worms on his back. That was so disgusting. I loved it. It was so gross. And man, I was just really hoping for the best outcome in that scenario. But yeah, our rat bro just totally just bust a cap in his head and loads several bullets into it, and I just was like just totally shocked. I'm like, well, guess that's the end of that character. You know, I really didn't even really see that coming. And so you know, I just thought it was kind of cool how after all that, the Strigoi, the vampires, bust in, you know, and it kind of reminded me of the Xenomorphs in Aliens when they're stuck in that little small room in Aliens, and they just keep coming in, and they're coming through the walls and everything. It's just so creepy. Like, you just feel like I got such a sense of helplessness. Like, it didn't really matter. They're not gonna be able to escape, but obviously, you know, they do. And so then we move on to like episode 9, and we get more of Abraham and Thomas in the concentration camp. And I like how you know, we kind of follow up with that guy who's been divorced with his wife, and he finally gets with his co-worker. You know, their little tension, their flirtations finally burst into lovemaking scene that, you know, I guess if you're in a vampire apocalypse, you might as well have as much fun as you can before stuff goes bad. And but I just like how it's all kind of starting to fully kind of come together. And I have to say, man, those scenes between Strachan and Eckhart, man, I just really wanted I just want the whole show to kind of be back in like the 40s during the concentration camp, and you see that dynamic with the Nazis and him, and how the Nazis are working with clearly some kind of vampire, you know, occult, evil devil thing. I just think it's really cool. You know, that's why I really like Hellboy when they bring in all that kind of Nazi occultism stuff too. I just think it's fascinating and shows, you know, like the ultimate kind of evil kind of thing. And I like how in this Thomas is kind of like, okay, you know, I'm gonna get a knife, and I'm not gonna let whatever this thing is that I'm building, you know, eat me. And we get to that scene where the master's like feeding on the person next to him, and he like kind of cuts his finger, I guess, to kind of entice the master to come and suck his blood so he can kill him. But the master's clearly, you know, been foreseeing all this too, because he's clearly a supernatural entity and definitely seems more intelligent. And he, you know, grabs Thomas, and you get that really cool scene where, you know, he's basically forcing, you know, Strachan to kneel, and he's got his hands, and he's just, you know, clearly like slowly like breaking them, and then he just like smashes his hand and breaks them. And to me, I like this scene because it's like, man, not only is this guy in hell, but he's kind of in a way forced to serve the devil. And he thinks like, well, maybe if he does serve this kind of demon, it'll reward him with freedom or whatever, because we've already kind of seen in, I believe it was either in this episode or the episode before the gas station, where Thomas rewards him with like a sandwich, so it's clear like he's actually feeding him, giving him whiskey, and, you know, kind of rewarding him for doing good jobs. And it's just like his ultimate payment by this is he loses his hands. And I just feel like that's so, I feel like that captures like the biblical devil really well. Like, if you choose to serve him and you think you're going to go get your reward, and the manner in which you served him, he takes away from you forever and corrupts it. And that scene was just so brutal. And then it cuts to, well, it's time to put off these characters and execute these people now to bring in more workers for the concentration camp. And you see Thomas sees his hands are all messed up, and he's like looking at him, and you could tell he's disappointed. You know, you could tell he kind of in a weird twisted way liked Abraham and wanted to continue to play with him, to torment him, but also it's like a twisted friendship, I guess. Like I don't know, that's just how I took it. Like the actor's eyes were just phenomenal. Like you could just see all how he felt just by a look, but still tells him to go get executed. And of course some kind of gunfight happens, and he escapes and all that stuff. And then we cut back to kind of the more modern setting, and they're, you know, setting up like we're all going to try to get out of here and, you know, stop this, and we got to kill the master and all this stuff. And if we do it, we could possibly end it. You know, it's just kind of cool seeing the plot kind of come together and factions kind of being made and stuff like that. I'm really excited for the next episode. And then we get to the end of this episode, which is the coolest part, man. I mean, I just thought that this was just totally sick. And you see Thomas like basically like looking, he's got this like secret like little like chamber area kind of thing, and like, you know, oh, where's the master? You know, he's lighting all these candles, and he's got the coffin, and it's all, you know, creepy and foreboding. And I was like, man, this is really cool. I like how it's like touching all the horror parts that I like, the gothic horror, the occult horror, the historical horror, because obviously anything to do with like Nazi concentration camps automatically is horrifying. You know, that's just fascism. It's terrible. You know, it's a horror film without it being, you don't really need mystical creatures, you know, with any of that. but you see him like, oh, why have you abandoned me, master? Like, you know, where are you, kind of thing. And you see like he's about to lose his faith, and the candles blow or whatever and flicker, and here comes the master, and he's got like that awesome hood, but he's kind of got like the Dracula cape going, and he's got all the like Transylvanian, you know, Romanian jewelry with the Nosferatu hands, and he comes out, you know, and he finally takes off his robe, and he looks like Nosferatu if he's had a lot of blood cheeseburgers, you know, little chunky, but I would expect somebody being called the master would be pretty hefty and would probably be a blood glutton. And you have that scene where his mouth opens and you get the creepy like Lovecraft tentacle worm thing coming out and being all nasty, and he cuts the dude's arm and cuts himself and gets the worm out and makes him a vampire. And it just was so freaking cool, man. It was one of the most metal things I've seen, especially for a TV show. And so I'm really hyped to see where this show's going to go. And to go back a little bit before in the episode where the Masters got Strachian, and he's talking shit to Abraham and like, where's your God? You know, I thought your God was so powerful and all this stuff. So I really like how they're bringing in kind of like the religious aspects of Yahweh versus whatever this evil curse kind of thing is. I think it's really exciting, and it's just brilliant writing. Like the writing in these 3 episodes were definitely next level. Now, I think that the writing's been good. Don't get me wrong, I think the writing's been good throughout the whole show, but for these last 3 episodes, I felt like there was a definite quality increase, because we're really getting to the nitty-gritty, I feel like, of season 1 coming to a close. And I really, have to say, I really don't know where this show is going. Like, most shows I can kind of tell, like, oh, well, this character is just here to give exposition, and then once their kind of exposition time's up, they're then going to turn into fodder for the creature or whatever. With this show, it feels like, every character has like a purpose. It doesn't feel like, oh, well, they simply only exist to be this for the writer. This actually feels genuine and authentic. Like, it feels like all these characters have a purpose. They make the story better. And saying that, man, I can't wait for that dude's wife that, like, divorced him or whatever. I can't wait for her to die, man. Like, I was really hoping that would happen. And I know that sounds awful, but she plays that bitchy kind of Karen character so perfect. Like, she's a phenomenal actress. And like I said, it's a lot of stuff to take in. I wish I knew their names. I'm sure I'm going to get really obsessed with this as we keep going. And I can definitely see the rewatch value of the show. I really feel like the more you watch it, the more you get out of it. And I just have to say, like, it's just super stoked. I'm super stoked for it all. I'm liking the kind of symbolisms that they're going for with all of this, and I can't wait for this Thursday to watch the rest with you all and nerd out. As you can see, I've got, it's made me do all my vampire stuff again. I've got Bram Stoker's Dracula on, and I gonna do some Subspecies 3, and maybe I might watch Horror of Dracula again, because I know I've been working on that deep dive. Almost done. I've almost got that whole script all done, and it's gonna be something really special. But I really appreciate you guys being interested in my thoughts on these episodes. I really, really, really liked them. I cannot wait, like I said, to finish season 1 and to see all of it. And I'm glad that they actually did a creative decision to end the show and not just like keep it going, so we're not like on season 12 right now and it's just totally stupid and no one cares. I'm glad that they had like a set plan to end it after, I think, 4 seasons or whatever. So I'm looking forward to how this all concludes. I just think it's brilliant. Like, I went back and started watching a little bit more episodes from like the first couple of episodes, and I'm seeing like the parallels and the dynamics, and it's starting to make more sense now that I'm understanding the backstory and all of that stuff. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me for a little bit here at the Lagoon and kind of nerding out and talking about the strain and all that fun stuff. But I have a a lot more fun videos coming next week. I have another music review, a couple of video game streams, and you know, I guess probably some review videos of the new Fantastic Four, and I might just upload some goofy videos, some bloopers and stuff like that. So come hang out at with Gills at the Lagoon here. You know, like my videos, comment, subscribe, turn those bell notifications on. I got a lot of cool content coming your way. Some of it I don't want to talk about quite yet because I want to make sure I have it all finished before I talk about it in case weird stuff happens. So keep your eyes out for all that stuff. And I'm sure that bastard Melkor will end up taking over the channel eventually, making more videos too. So until then, stay salty, stay spooky. Bye.